Hi, um, welcome to the week 6 lecture. This week I want to talk about work-life balance. The millennial generation is now the largest generation according to the Pew Research Center. And the millennials as a generation have a stronger value for work-life balance than previous generations. And I think as a result of that, we're going to see an increased interest in interventions to increase workforce flexibility as millennials move into leadership positions in organizations. Now, in a 2014 survey by the Society for Human Resource Management, they were looking at what type of flexibility options are being offered today by organizations, and there are quite a few. Notice that the compressed work week, 61% offered that. Flex time during core hours, which workers really tend to like, 61%. Flex time, but not during core hours, 53%. A phased retirement, 59%. Paid off time if workers volunteered, 56%. Telecommuting as needed, 55%. That's a big increase. Full-time telecommuting at 53%, and I think that's another area we're going to see increase. And then a transition period of 55%. So all of these work arrangements were reported to increase employee satisfaction, retention, and health and wellness. So it seemed to be a pretty good deal for both the organization and workers. I've been telecommuting for a substantial part of my work week for over 9 years now, and this past year has been quite a bit telecommuting for me. And it's become a lifestyle. And I noticed in the beginning in my subdivision where I live that I was the only one doing this, and it seemed to be a fairly limited practice, and it was used mostly in higher ed with adjuncts. And then as time passed, I noticed some of my neighbors were starting to get the telecommuting as needed benefit. I now have two who are full-time telecommuting today. So I'm seeing an increase just within the area that I live. And in the early days of telecommuting, companies would set up a landline and a computer and all this other stuff. And I had a friend who did that in the very beginning. And eventually he stopped it because he said he thought he was at a political disadvantage because he was the only one doing that. But I think those circumstances are beginning to change as well as a much larger group of people start doing it. Also, managers were a key as an intermediary between employees and HR, so they can make it or break it. And I think some recent examples, for example, IBM and Yahoo, I think management was a problem in both of those examples. Improvements in technology have been tremendous. The quality has improved, and the cost has literally went down to zero. And there's a 24/7 connection to work now. So that's both an advantage and a disadvantage. Now, if we look at disadvantages, 55% of workers return from vacation to work without feeling rejuvenated. Why? Because they were connected while they were off. Also, job enlargement, which has been a strategy by corporations for the last 3 decades, downsizing, job enlargement. Expedia.com survey reported that over half the respondents reported working more than 40 hours per week for their 40 hours pay. And 2/3 report in at least 1 to 2 times per week when they're off. And so that once again, that creates a potential problem. Um, it can lead to burnout and turnover as well. And so another trend is unplugging, so to speak. So telecommuting company Morgan requires its employees to disconnect out of the office, and they do that so they don't burn out. Quirky, another company, shuts down for 3 weeks per year with all employees unplugged. So it's a coordinated shutdown. The Boston Consulting Group guarantees at least one evening each week where employees are unplugged from the office. And once again, it's a step in the right direction of trying to manage this. As work-life balance increases in importance, and I think it will, psychologists are going to be needed to help find creative ways to implement primary interventions for reducing stress that's related to electronic devices. And I think technology will continue to advance. Mobile devices are becoming more sophisticated. We're already seeing that. A person can literally do anything with a cell phone from their car. Matter of fact, when I travel, I have a hotspot on my phone. I take my laptop, and it's no different being at home in the office. And I'm not driving, by the way. Companies are going to need to intervene, or they're going to experience employees who burn out and turn over. And so I think this work-life balance is an important area of consideration, and one we need to pay attention to. Thank you.